There was once a man named Daniel, a determined and hardworking businessman. From humble beginnings, Daniel built himself up from scratch. He faced life's challenges with courage, never letting failure stop him. Through sheer grit, he became a successful and respected man in his community. Daniel married a beautiful woman named Mercy. He loved her with all his heart. To him, Mercy was a precious gift, and he spared no effort to make her happy. Daniel ensured she got the best in life. He sent her to one of the finest and best universities in the country, but he didn't stop there. After her graduation, Daniel sent Mercy to London for her master's degree and then to New York for her PhD. Daniel provided Mercy with everything she wanted: designer clothes, expensive jewelry, a luxurious home, and a life of comfort. In his eyes, nothing was too much for his beloved wife. His love for her was so deep that he never once doubted her loyalty. But Mercy did not feel the same way. Her heart was cold toward Daniel, and she saw his kindness as weakness. Behind her beautiful smile hid dark intentions. Mercy was plotting to betray the man who loved her so dearly. She wanted his wealth, his properties, his businesses, everything he had worked so hard for. Day and night, Mercy's mind schemed and calculated. She was planning how to kill Daniel and take over his fortune. Mercy sat one evening in their grand living room, staring at the glittering chandelier above. The house was silent except for the ticking clock. Her hands clutched a wine glass, her mind racing with thoughts of greed and betrayal. She whispered to herself, "Why should I share his wealth? It should all be mine. Just mine." Little did Daniel know, while he was busy planning a surprise anniversary gift for Mercy, she was planning his downfall. One day, Daniel called Mercy and said, "I have a meeting in Abuja, and it's going to take 1 week." Mercy smiled and replied, "All right, my love. Safe journey." That day, Daniel packed his bags and left for Abuja. However, when Daniel got to Abuja, the meeting only lasted for 2 days. He decided to surprise his wife by returning home early without calling her. Daniel quickly booked a flight back to Lagos. When Daniel arrived home, the house was unusually quiet. Curious, he walked toward their bedroom. As he reached the door, he overheard Mercy talking on the phone. She said, "Mommy, the fool is not around. He went to Abuja for a meeting. This is the perfect time to execute our plan." "Mommy," Mercy whispered, her tone anxious, "are you sure this plan will work? I don't want to make any mistakes. I want everything to be perfect, so no one suspects me." Her mother's voice came through the phone, calm and reassuring. "Don't worry, my daughter. Do exactly as I told you. Boba Leke's charms have never failed before. Just follow the instructions carefully." Mercy's voice grew cold, filled with venom. "I can't wait for this idiot to die, Mommy. I want to be free. I want to live the life I've always dreamed of. I want to be wealthy, respected, and powerful. And I'll make sure you live in luxury too, Mommy. When he's gone, everything will be mine." Her mother replied, "Good, Mercy. Remember, follow Baba Leke's instructions carefully. Put the poison in his food, and make sure he eats it. By the next day, he'll be gone, and nobody will suspect you." Mercy responded, her voice dripping with greed. "I will, Mommy. I can't wait to finally get rid of him." Daniel felt frozen in place, as if the ground beneath him had crumbled. His mind reeled with shock and pain. He whispered to himself, "Me? Daniel? The woman I loved, the woman I gave everything to, she wants me dead. What did I ever do to deserve this? Haven't I given her everything she ever wanted? What more could she want from me?" He quietly stepped back, left the house, and drove straight to his office pretending nothing was wrong. "I will play along," he muttered under his breath. "She thinks I'm a fool, but I'll show her." I know exactly what to do. At the office, Daniel sat in his chair, staring blankly at his desk. His assistant knocked gently and entered. "Sir, is everything all right?" she asked, noticing his distracted look. Daniel forced a smile. "Yes, everything is fine," he said. But inside, he was boiling with emotions, anger, betrayal, sadness. He thought about all the years he had spent building a life for Mercy, sacrificing his own comfort to ensure she had the best. And now, she wanted him dead. As the hours passed, Daniel began to form a plan. He knew he had to be careful. Mercy and her mother were dangerous, and he couldn't afford to make a single mistake. "I will show her that I'm not the fool she thinks I am," he thought, determination replacing his sadness. After much thought in the office, Daniel picked up his phone and called Mercy. "Hello, my love," he said calmly. "I'll be coming back tomorrow." Mercy sounded surprised. "What happened, honey?" "I thought it was a one-week meeting." Daniel replied, "The meeting ended earlier than expected." "I'll see you tomorrow." She said, "All right, no problem." The next day, when Daniel returned home, Mercy greeted him with a warm hug and a smile. "Welcome back, honey. How was your trip?" she asked. "It was fine," Daniel replied, still pretending as if nothing was wrong. Moments later, Daniel told Mercy, "I need to quickly see one of my staff." He went to their bedroom, grabbed his briefcase, and left. Unknown to Mercy, Daniel was making some critical arrangements. 3 hours later, Daniel returned home. Mercy greeted him cheerfully. "Honey, you look tired. I've prepared your favorite meal. Come and eat." They moved to the dining table. As they sat down, Daniel suddenly said, "My love, please help me get the file in the car. I need to call someone urgently about it." Mercy quickly left to get the file. While she was outside, Daniel went into the kitchen and poured the food into the bin. He served himself fresh food and returned to the dining table. When Mercy returned, she sat beside him, smiling. Daniel began eating and looked at her. "Are you not eating?" he asked. Mercy replied, "Oh no, honey. I ate earlier. I was so hungry I couldn't wait for you." Daniel looked at her calmly. "Are you sure? This meal is really good," he said, pretending to enjoy it. Mercy smiled and asked, "Are you enjoying it, my love? How are you feeling, my sweetheart?" Mercy asked, her tone full of fake concern. "I think you enjoyed it. Is everything all right?" Daniel clutched his stomach. "I don't know. I feel a sharp pain in my stomach," he said, his voice weak. Mercy's heart skipped a beat. "Honey. My love. What's wrong?" she cried out, rushing to his side. Daniel groaned and collapsed on the floor, pretending to writhe in pain. "I need to lie down," he murmured weakly. Mercy helped him to their bedroom and laid him on the bed. Minutes later, Daniel closed his eyes and went completely still. Mercy leaned over him, checking his breathing. When she was convinced he was dead, her reaction was shocking. She stood up abruptly, her face lighting up with joy. "Finally. I'm free," she exclaimed, twirling around the room. Mercy then picked up her phone and called her secret lover, Johnson. Johnson was none other than Daniel's best friend, a man Daniel had trusted like a brother. "Johnson, my love, the idiot is dead," she said, her voice filled with excitement. Johnson's voice came through the phone, cold and calculating. "Good. What about the documents? Have you packed everything?" "I'm gathering them now," Mercy replied. "Give me a little time, then start coming over. Once you get here, I'll scream for help so the neighbors can come running." She ended the call and immediately began searching the house, her greed driving her every move. She rummaged through drawers and cabinets, gathering all the property documents, bank statements, and anything else she could find. She stuffed them into her handbag, smiling at her success. She called Johnson again. "I've packed everything," she said. "Start coming. I'll cry out soon to alert the neighbors." Little did Mercy know, Daniel was far from dead. He was wide awake, silently observing her from behind the slightly ajar bedroom door, his heart burning with anger and betrayal. Daniel lay still, his heart heavy with betrayal as he overheard Mercy's next move. His closest friend, Johnson, the man he had trusted with so much, was part of this evil plan. He quietly whispered to himself, "My best friend. Johnson. So, this is how deep their betrayal goes. But I'll outsmart them all." Despite the pain in his heart, Daniel remained lifeless, pretending to be dead. Soon, Mercy began shouting and crying loudly. Her voice carried through the house, drawing the attention of neighbors. Within minutes, the sitting room was filled with concerned faces. One of the neighbors asked, "What happened? Was he sick before now?" Mercy, putting on her best act, sobbed dramatically. "He came back from office this afternoon complaining of a headache and stomach pain. He said he needed to rest. I took him to the room, and before I knew it, he stopped breathing." The neighbors shook their heads in sympathy, some murmuring words of comfort while others stared in shock. But Daniel wasn't the fool they thought he was. Earlier that same morning, Daniel had already anticipated Mercy's next move. He had quietly taken all his real documents and property papers to his younger brother, Junior. Sitting him down in the hotel room, Daniel explained everything. "Junior, my life is in danger," he had said. "Mercy and her mother are plotting to kill me for my wealth. Here are all the original documents, keep them safe. The ones left in the house are fake. Let her think she's one." Junior, a calm and loyal man, had nodded. "I'll handle this, brother. Don't worry." While the neighbors crowded the sitting room, Mercy continued her act, crying and shaking her head as if in grief. Meanwhile, Daniel, lying silently in the bedroom, pulled out his phone and called Junior. "Junior, it's happening," Daniel whispered. "She's crying now, and the neighbors are here. Tell Mama everything I told you. Let her know Mercy will call soon to say I'm dead. Make sure she plays along." "Understood," Junior replied. Unknown to Mercy, Daniel had been recording her calls and conversations. He had carefully planted hidden cameras in the bedroom and sitting room, capturing every incriminating moment. After the neighbors left, Mercy stood in front of the mirror, smiling to herself. She admired her reflection and said aloud, "Finally, I'm a big woman. CEO Mercy. I'm now a millionaire. I'm so smart." She laughed, basking in her victory. Daniel, still listening from the bedroom, clenched his fist. Mercy continued talking to herself. "From the beginning, I never loved Daniel. I only married him for his money. I knew he loved me, but love means nothing to me. That's why I never planned a future with him. I've been aborting every pregnancy. Johnson is the only man I want." Hearing this, Daniel's heart broke further. But he stayed calm, knowing he had to see his plan through. Later, Mercy picked up her phone and called Daniel's mother. She put on her best sobbing voice and said, "Mama, Daniel is dead." Daniel's mother, a strong and wise woman, feigned shock. "Which Daniel? What are you talking about?" "Your son, Mama. My husband," Mercy cried. "He came back from office, started shouting about his stomach and head, and before I knew it, he was gone." Daniel's mother gasped. "What? My son? No, no, no." She began wailing, gathering her family members and rushing to Daniel's house, just as he had instructed. When Daniel's mother arrived with some relatives, she pretended to be consumed with grief. She rushed into the sitting room, crying loudly. "Where is he? Where is my son?" Mercy, still pretending, pointed to the bedroom. "He's in the room, Mama," she said, her voice filled with fake sadness. Daniel's mother rushed to the room and closed the door behind her. She bent over Daniel, whispering, "My son, what's next?" Daniel opened his eyes slightly and whispered back, "Take me out of here. Tell them you're taking me to the mortuary." Daniel's mother nodded and immediately began crying louder. "We can't leave him here. We need to take him to the mortuary," she cried to the people in the sitting room. Mercy, believing her plan was working perfectly, agreed. "Yes, Mama. Please take him. Let him rest in peace." With the help of Daniel's younger brother and a trusted relative, they carried Daniel out of the house and placed him in the backseat of a car. But instead of heading to the mortuary, they drove to a safe location, where Daniel's plan would finally unfold. After Daniel's family left, believing their plan was successful, Mercy, her boyfriend Johnson, and her mother sat in the lavish living room, celebrating their so-called victory. Bottles of expensive wine were opened as they laughed and danced, already planning their next steps. "Once the burial is done, we'll leave the country immediately," Mercy said confidently, holding Johnson's hand. "And then, my love, we'll have the wedding of our dreams." Her mother added, "Don't forget to transfer some of the money into my account before you leave. We've worked hard for this." Johnson laughed, clinking his glass with theirs. "Cheers to a bright future." But little did they know, the future they envisioned was about to crumble. A week later, the day of Daniel's supposed burial arrived. The atmosphere was somber, with everyone dressed in black. The mourners sat under the canopy, looking sad as soft dirges played in the background. Mercy stood near the casket, wailing dramatically. "Oh, my beloved husband," she cried, her face soaked with fake tears. "Why did you leave me? You know I love you so much. Come back to me." Johnson, standing nearby, shook his head in mock sorrow. "Oh, what a cruel world. My friend Daniel, I will miss you. You were like a brother to me." Daniel's mother watched them from the corner of her eye, shaking her head in disgust. "The audacity of these people," she thought. As the pastor prepared to preach, a loud commotion arose. The sound of powerful car engines echoed through the quiet gathering. 6 sleek cars and jeeps drove into the compound, moving in a procession that made people think it was a governor's convoy. The crowd turned to watch, their mouths hanging open. One of the car doors opened slowly, and out stepped Daniel, alive and well. Gasps filled the air as people screamed and scattered in every direction. Some shouted, "Ghost! Spirit! Spirit!" and ran away in fear. The pastor, holding his Bible high, shouted, "Come back, everyone. He's not a spirit. This is a living man." Daniel walked confidently toward the gathering, his face calm but full of purpose. The crowd stood frozen, their eyes wide with shock. Mercy dropped to the ground, trembling. No, this can't be. You're dead." Johnson stammered, his legs shaking. Daniel. Is this a dream?" Daniel looked at them, his voice cold but steady. "No, Mercy, this is not a dream. This is reality. I heard everything. From your plans with Boba Leke to the lies you told my neighbors and my mother. I saw everything, your betrayal, your greed, your wickedness." The crowd murmured in disbelief. "Let me explain." Mercy cried, crawling toward him. "It's not what you think." But Daniel raised his hand, silencing her. "You don't need to explain. The evidence speaks for itself." At that moment, police officers stepped out of the cars, holding files, phones, and a laptop, Daniel's compiled evidence. Daniel turned to the crowd. "I have recordings of our calls. videos of her conversations, and proof of her dealings with Boba Leke. She even planned to marry my so-called best friend, Johnson, after my burial. The police immediately arrested Mercy, her mother, Johnson, and Boba Leke. Mercy screamed, trying to resist, while her mother sobbed. Johnson, on the other hand, simply lowered his head in shame, unable to meet Daniel's eyes. Weeks later, Mercy, her mother, Johnson, and Boba Leke stood in court as the judge handed down their sentence, life imprisonment. The courtroom was silent except for the sound of Mercy sobbing. In the prison yard, Mercy sat on the cold floor, staring blankly at the walls. Her once radiant face was now pale and lifeless. She muttered to herself, "What have I done? Daniel loved me. He gave me everything, and I threw it all away." Her mother sat beside her, crying. "I should never have pushed you into this. Now look where we are." In another cell, Johnson held his head in his hands, tears streaming down his face. "I betrayed my best friend. I betrayed the only man who trusted me. I made the worst mistake of my life." Back at home, Daniel stood by the window, looking out at the peaceful evening sky. His mother walked in, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You're a strong man, my son," she said softly. "You handled this with wisdom and courage. Not many would have done what you did." Daniel smiled faintly. "Thank you, Mama. I've learned a lot from this. Sometimes, the people we love the most can hurt us in ways we never imagined. But life goes on. I'll rebuild, and I'll find happiness again." Dear viewers, greed and betrayal may promise temporary gains, but they always lead to destruction. True love and loyalty are priceless, and those who choose the path of evil will always face the consequences. What do you learn from this story? Let's discuss in the comment section. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these interesting stories, like, share and kindly subscribe. Also turn on your notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I upload inspire and real life story like this. See you in my next video.